Hey everyone, welcome to Amanda's Book Corner. I'm Amanda, and this is my review of Badon Hill by Anonymous. This is the second book in the Wars of Wrath series following Gurzil. I read Gurzil earlier this year and I really enjoyed it, and I was really excited to get this beautiful new hardcover copy in the mail as well, so thank you Anonymous for both of these, and of course thank you for Badon Hill as well, because I really enjoyed that one too. So Badon Hill picks up pretty much where Gurzil left off. It's still July 543 AD, or CE, and we're still following a wide cast of characters based both in Britain and in Libya. As I mentioned with my review of Gurzil, a lot of these characters are lifted from legends and mythology that you may be familiar with. For example, the characters that are based in Britain you'll recognize from the Arthurian legends. You'll recognize names like Arthur, Lancelot, Guinevere, Morgana, Merlin, and more. And then the characters that are based in Libya you may recognize from other legends and mythology. Those I'm less familiar with myself, but I know others that have read the books are familiar with them and are really excited to see them in these books here. So these are retellings in a way, but they're also combining different mythologies and legends, and it's making a whole new story that connects these different characters and events to make something that's even bigger and grander, and I really enjoyed that. The first book had a lot of setup for the characters, and there were a lot of characters too, so that did slow down the pace a little bit, but it was also very exciting getting to see Gurzil and how this evil dragon is gaining control in Libya and how he maybe had control in the past elsewhere. In Badon Hill, we already know the characters pretty well by now, and so we're really getting to see a deeper side of them. I did think that this book would be faster paced going into it. I thought it'd get way more into the action, and on the one hand it does, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but I was actually surprised at how much backstory we're still getting with these characters. Now for some people that may slow down the pacing a little bit, but I actually really loved getting this backstory. I think it really made the characters that much deeper and more relatable. It got me into their heads a lot more, and I really enjoyed that aspect. It made me really care for the characters in a deeper way, and so I actually in some ways enjoyed this book even more than Gurzil. In fact, a lot of my favorite passages were from these more backstory heavy chapters. For example, I really liked getting to know how George and his father ended up rescuing Morgana from her evil stepfather, and it involves a duel and a potential witch trial, and it's just very exciting. Another one I liked a lot was Prudentius's chapter and getting to know his backstory and his time in a prison, and it's just very unsettling and spooky what happened to him while he was in this cell. I was reading this book leading up to Halloween, and so I really enjoyed that aspect because I was completely in spooky season mode, and so it really fit with those vibes, with this spookiness and this kind of witch character, and it was just very haunting. Another chapter was similarly haunting was one with Gaboan, who is the uncle of Sabra, and I really enjoyed that one as well. It's a little bit shorter, but it also had this haunting effect that was very eerie and kind of dreamy or nightmarish. Another favorite passage is when George is wandering around and he finds these old statues, and this woman named Sulis, that's one of her names, she invites him to look into a fountain, and this scene completely reminded me of the scene with Frodo and Galadriel in The Fellowship of the Ring. And so if you've seen that movie, which most of you probably have, you might get some similar vibes there. I really enjoyed that scene, and I thought it was really interesting and again dreamy and powerful, and it just completely enchanted me. While I would say that the majority of Gurzil was based in Libya and followed the characters that are down there, I would say Badon Hill is a little bit more focused on the characters up in Britain, and indeed the title is taken from a battle that takes place on Badon Hill later on in the book. And that extra focus on the characters in Britain might be why it takes a long time before we really get to see Gurzil on page. He's mentioned a few times, but it's not until later in the book that we finally get to see him in all his glory. Badon Hill takes place only over a few days, and even with all the backstory, it does move the plot forward in key ways. Some characters rise up as being more important, but other characters may not make it to the end. All in all, it's very thrilling, and there's a lot of fighting scenes, but also a lot of more important conversations that are being had, and I just found it very captivating. It also had a few excellent quotes that I particularly liked. One of my favorite quotes is during Sabra's chapter early on. She says, "Perhaps the prince was not her hero, nor her monster. Maybe he came to her dream so that she might see that she could be her own hero, her own monster." I just thought that was so powerful. Another very short quote that I'm going to take completely out of context is, "I strongly suggest you become a cat person." That's in the last chapter, and I won't explain that at all. You'll have to read it to find out why. But I must say I condone that message. Do become a cat person. That said, Badon Hill does end on a complete cliffhanger, just like Gurzil did before it. And indeed, the story is not over yet. so I'm very much looking forward to the third book in the series. Apparently the working title is The Order of Two, and the author tweeted that they have written a character that is darker and more terrifying than Gurzil, and I'm very excited about that. I cannot wait to see this character. So no word yet on when that book will be out, but I'm hoping that sometime in 2023 we'll get to read it, because I really want to see what happens next with these characters. A couple of final observations. One is that this book has a lot of anachronisms, especially in terms of language used. There is a lot of swearing, and there's also some phrases that reference things that wouldn't have existed or happened back then. For me, that's not a point against it. I don't mind anachronisms as long as they're consistent and self-aware, and in this case I would say they are. My only real critique for the book would be that it definitely needs an editor, and I do understand that this is self-published and there are very different circumstances for self-publishing, but while the story is excellent and I really enjoyed it, the writing could definitely use a little bit of fine-tuning. But regardless, that's not a detriment, and I was able to easily overlook that. I still enjoyed the story very much. So I really enjoyed Badon Hill, and in some ways I think I liked it even more than Gurzil. I give it 4.5 stars, and I cannot wait to read the next book in the series. Also, thank you again to iAnonymous for sending me these books. I'm so happy to be part of your circle, and I'm really glad I get to read these books and share the love for them. So I hope you enjoyed this book review video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And to make sure you don't miss any more of my videos, please ring the bell to get all my notifications. I'm putting out about 1 to 2 videos per week now, so I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.